We're talking about royalty. This is wealth and power of the families in the 16th and 17th centuries. This costume I'd like to start with from Ever After. Angelica Houston wore this. Here you'll notice in these costumes the gold and silver threads. A couple of these other early costumes. At the time, those would have been made of actual gold and silver, not just gold and silver colored. If you've seen some of those portraits of Queen Elizabeth, or her dress is covered with jewels, those, yes, are actual jewels. You're wearing your wealth in your clothes at this particular time. This movie takes place in the 1500s. As we go through, a theme is going to be what kind of exterior structures are added to women's bodies to get them into a particular fashionable shape of the time. All right, we're going to see 400 years of costume histories, and so 400 years of that kind of modification. Here, there's nothing happening there. No corset. Everything is very flowing and free. Okay, we get to 100 years later, and this dress worn by Shirley Henderson in Last King, The Power and Passion of Charles II was a TV miniseries. You notice she's wearing something called a farthingale underneath her dress. This again, when you start to get to structures like this, underneath clothing, it's telling you a lot about the status of that person. If you're wearing this thing, you can't get dressed by yourself, put your own shoes on, pick up your own children. All that stuff is happening for you because you're wealthy enough to have servants to do that for you. Costume. They made 6 versions, 6 identical copies of this costume for him to wear. He was really involved in the costume design. That doesn't always happen with actors, but in this case it did. And he met with the costume designer and they worked out really how he should look. He's got all of these belts and stuff on to indicate that as a pirate he would be plundering, and if he defeated someone, take the elements of his costume, his clothing that he would want to keep, but you don't have anywhere to really keep things, so you just wear it until you need it, you need to sell it, whatever. They distressed all of the costumes in advance because, of course, pirate's life is a hard life. You're not going to a tailor to get clothes or anything like that. The costume designer gave him 10 different pairs of boots to choose from to wear for the movies. And he had developed a special gait that he wanted to use as Captain Jack Sparrow, and he felt like, he tried them all on, he felt like a particular pair of boots allowed him to do that gait the best. Unfortunately, those boots were lined with fur, and he was filming in Barbados, so that wasn't going to work. So they had to send the boots off to Europe to have the fur removed. He was really nervous they weren't going to get back in time, but they did arrive back in time for filming. Costume is in the back. We have this mirror here a little bit so you can see it. After the costume designer read the script and she understood that Heath Ledger was going to be, or his stunt double was going to be, running away from angry husbands a lot of the time and jumping out of windows and that kind of thing, she made the back of the coat really flare. There's extra fabric back there, so it'll really flare out behind him and look very dramatic while he's doing those window jumpings. They also made another version that's not as fancy as this one, a simpler version for his stunt doubles. Or any time that the jacket could be damaged during filming. They wanted to make one that wasn't quite as fancy, you can't tell on the screen. If we turn around and look at our center platform, recall that earlier I said Cosprop really keeps all of their costumes in-house, sort of one person moves it through the line. This is an exception. They sent these costumes out to a master embroiderer whose name is Thomas Solander in Denmark. He did some other of the embroidery, and I'll point those out as we go along here. But this, if you have time when we're done, come back and just look at this vest and be amazed at all of this beautiful work here. What I love especially are like right here and right here, they're like little monkeys playing flutes or some kind of horn. But you know, you don't see any of that. Oh, I'm sorry. You don't really see any of